Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be building this agency website using React. So we're going to have some cool hover animations. Okay, so also the buttons have some animations as well on hover. Okay, so also when I refresh the page, everything is going to animate in. Okay, we have some nice custom scroll bars as well. And we can also change the themes of the website. We're using Context API to change these themes, so you can create as many color themes as you want. So in this case I showed you how to do 2, but you can do as many as you want. It's really straightforward to do. So now when I scroll down, we have some more animations on hover. Okay, so on these cards as well we have some animations on hover. Okay, so also for the image we have some animations for the buttons. Okay, so down here for the blogs we have some animations as well. Okay, and finally we have a nice footer down here. Okay, so we have some images section, some links, some contact info, okay, and some icons. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it for this project. If you have any questions you can ask me through the comment section, or if you want to request a video or anything you can ask me through the comment section, or you can send me an email. So yeah, please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you in the video. Okay, so I have an empty project already. There's an images folder. You are free to use any images that you want to use. You can use your own images if you want to, but you can download these images from the GitHub repo if you want to follow along. Okay, so first we're going to start by downloading a font. Go to Google Fonts, search for the font that you're going to use. You can use any font that you want. In this case I'm going to be using this one, Montserrat. So you can select font wise that you want to use and then copy this, go to the public and then HTML and then just paste in the font. I've actually done that already off camera, I didn't notice. Just paste in the link here of the fonts that you are using. I'm also going to use Font Awesome for the icons. You can go to Font Awesome CDN, look for the CDN. In this case I'm going to be using 5.1 version, so you can just type Font Awesome CDN and then you can look for a version, the latest version. Just copy this link tag and then paste it in below the font. Once you've done that, close this HTML and then now you can go to the terminal. Just we're going to be using style components for styling, so you need to install style components. Run npm install oops, wrong, okay, script. So here npm install style components and then you're going to hit enter and then install style components. Okay, so now I'm running the project. As you can see, there's nothing here, nothing crazy. There's just hello world, printing hello world. Okay, so now we've already installed some components. Let's start by creating a new folder in here. So we're going to create a components folder. We're just going to call this components. That's the components folder. We're also going to need another folder. Let's call it context. So we're going to be using context to change the theme of our website. You can change to multiple themes if you want to. Okay, so we're going to do context. Okay, something like this. Okay, so also in the source folder we're going to create another file. We're just going to call this global style.js. so it's going to be a JavaScript file. Okay, global style. So this is going to be coming from style components. We need to import create global from style components. Okay, create global style, import create global style. Okay, so now to create a global style you just need to say const global style and then it's supposed to create global style. So this is going to be like our root CSS style, global style. Okay, we also need to export this as a default global style. Alright, so in here we can do our styling. So let's select everything. We're going to set margin to 0. We're just going to do basic resetting. Margin to 0, padding 0, and then box sizing we're going to set that to border box, and then we're going to say list style to none, and then text decoration we're going to set that to none as well, to none. Okay, so now with that in place we also need to do our font. So in this case our font is Montserrat. Okay, so go back to Google Fonts and copy the font family. So this is the font family Montserrat. Or if in case you are using a different font, this will be different. Okay, so let's go to the body. Let's see if our styling is working, and then we're just going to say background color. I'm just going to set that to red just to check if our styling is working. Nothing works. Okay, it's because we haven't connected this style sheet yet to our app. So go to the index above app. Here import the global style. So like this, import global style from global style. Okay, and then close. So now hopefully now it's red. Now our font is working, the background is working. So now our style components is working. I'm going to get rid of this background color here. I'm just going to set a font size here, a default of 1.2 rem, a default font size, and then the position I'm just going to say relative. Okay, so now that's it for the body, but we need to be able to change between the colors of the websites. Okay, how do we do that? So to do that, we're going to be using some themes. So go inside the context, we're going to create themes.js. Okay, so in here I'm going to say const themes, and then I'm going to create an array. So in this array you can add as many themes as you want. So the first theme is going to be name. Give it a name. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to say default. That's the default theme. Okay, so here after the default theme, you need to put the colors. Okay, so make sure this comma is on the right place here. Okay, so here we're going to say color primary, color primary, and then here I'll give you the color. So I'm just going to say hash 55554 and then DDE. Okay, and then we're going to do more variables. I'm not going to do that on camera. I don't want to waste your time doing this. I'm just going to paste in the variables. Okay, so and then you can also copy this from GitHub. Okay, so these are the variables that we're going to be using, the colors. So we have two themes in this case. So we have the default theme, the name, we have colors, and then make sure if you make another theme, these variable names are the same. Never change the names of these variables. Just duplicate the names and then just only change the colors. So in this case, this is a light. The primary color is same as the other one, but some of the colors are different, but the variable names are the same. If you want to create a new theme, just duplicate this, another, and then put it separate with a comma, and then change the name. You can say maybe this is let's say green, and then you start changing these colors here. Don't change the variable, just change the colors to different colors that you want. Okay, I'll show you how to do that also later as well again, but that's the main idea. Okay, so now we have two themes. Okay, so we have light and default. Okay, so now that's our themes. We need to export the themes. Okay, so now we have the themes. So in the context, I'm going to say theme context. Okay, context. Okay, so theme context.js. Okay, so here this is going to be responsible for our context. We're going to create a theme provider context. Okay, so here we need to do a few things. We need to create a function. I'm going to export this function as well. Export const. We're just going to say theme provider, and then here we're just going to say equal to. It's going to be a function. Okay, so it's a function. In here we're going to create some state values. Okay, so I'm going to say const theme, and then set theme. Okay, equal to useState. Okay, so useTheme by default we're going to use the first theme, which is 0. Okay, so we're going to cycle through the themes like 0, 1, 2, and then depending on what button we click, it's going to change the state. Okay, so in this case we're going to target the first theme, this 0, which is number 1, which is the default theme. Okay, great. So we also need to import the theme. Okay, so we're going to say const theme, const theme equal to themes. Import the themes from the theme. We're importing this one actually, themes from theme. Okay, and then we're going to select, we're going to use the state. Okay, this one, theme, it's actually, let's do select theme, makes a lot of sense. Select theme, select theme. Okay, so here we're just going to say select theme. So in this case, it's going to cycle through the themes. So this is an array, the theme is this array here. So we're going to cycle through the values within the theme array, the theme array, which is the state value. Whenever we change the state, we're going to select whatever theme, whatever value that, whatever button that we click on, the value of that button, we're going to select the theme based on the value. Like let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, something like that. Okay, so now we're just using the state value. So whenever we update the state, we're going to update the theme. So that's the main idea. Okay, so now we just need to return this. Return. So in the return, we need to do theme. Actually, we need to create a context first, some context. So we need a context for updating our theme, and the context for for default state. Okay, so here I'm just going to say const theme context, and then I'm going to say equal to. So for the theme context, we do react dot and then create context. Okay, to create a context. So now we've created a context for our default state. Okay, we need another one to update this state. So the second one we're just going to say theme update context. Okay, so this one is responsible for updating our state, and this is the default state. Okay, we also need to import React here. Import React, so make sure you import React because we're using React to theme create context here, so we need to import React. Okay, so now here what we can do is we can say theme context, and then we're going to say dot provider. That's how you have to do it in context. And then I'm gonna close this, and then in here I'm gonna say update theme update context, and then I'm gonna close again. Okay, so now this theme context, the value, we're going to pass in a value in here. So the value for this theme context is going to be this one, the theme. Okay, whatever theme that we have, that's the value. We're going to send the value in there. In here we're going to do children, because we're going to surround the app with this theme provider. So in here we also need to do children. Okay. Excuse me. So now we have the context we have the value for the theme context. For the update context, we also need to do dot provider here. Okay, and then we need to do a value as well. So for the value is the update state value. Okay, so which is select theme select. Okay, so when we update the state, this theme update context is going to be responsible for that. So the value for that is going to be this set of the state, because when we set state, we change the value, state value. This is the initial, the default state, and then when we change, we're going to use the theme update context. Okay, so we're nearly done. We just need to create two functions for updating and getting the state. So to get the state, we're just going to say export const use theme. This is going to be an arrow function. So this is a function responsible for getting the initial state, whatever state that we have in initial state values. Okay, so we're just going to return. We're going to say use context, and then in here we're just going to use the theme context. Okay, we're going to duplicate this, and then we're going to say use theme update. Okay, or use update theme. Okay, so just change the function name. You can name it whatever you want, and then here we're just going to do update. Okay, so this function is responsible for updating the state. This is responsible for getting the initial state. Okay, so this is basically it for the context. So to use this context to see if we're getting anything actually from this, let's go to the index. We need to wrap everything with our context. We need to wrap our app with the context. So what we can do, we say theme provider, not theme consumer, actually theme provider. Okay, the context here, theme provider, and then put our app in here. Let's say we have multiple contexts. We can always next even context. We can even, like, let's say we have another one, we can nest it like this. We can always keep nesting as long as our app is surrounded with the context that we've created. Okay, so now our app is surrounded with the theme provider. Now we can use the theme provider. So let's go to the app here in the app. So to use the theme, what we can do is we can call those two functions that we've created, the theme update and use theme. So the use theme is responsible for getting the state, the initial state, and then the theme update, we can update the state using that theme update function. So here we can just say use theme. So make sure you import use theme from the context like this. So now we have use theme. So I can just say const theme is equals to use theme. So we can COG this to see what we have. I'm gonna say COG, and then here I'm just gonna say theme, and then save. Let's see what we have. Inspect console. So as you can see, we have an object. So this object contains our variables, the colors. Okay, so now we have access to those variables, to the state. All right, so we have access to that. If you want to change the state, we can say use theme update. We can, use these functions, use theme update. But in this case, we don't want to update any theme. We just only want to use the variable colors. Okay, so now I'm gonna get rid of this. But we need this theme though. Yeah, use theme from the theme function. Okay, so now that's basically the basic setup for the context API. Now it's only a matter of using, the functionality of the context. So now let's start starting this app component here. I'm going to create a style component. I'm going to say const app styled, and then I'm going to say equal to styled from style components styled, and then this app is going to be a div. Okay, so div. I'm going to copy this, delete everything in here, app styled, and then surround everything with app styled. Okay, so we want access to I want this app to have an access to those variables from our context. So I'm going to say min height 100 VH. Okay, I'm going to set the position to relative as well, position relative, and then I'm going to set this z index to 5. You see why I'm setting this index to 5 later on. Okay, so the background color, I'm going to say background color, I'm going to say red. Okay, as you can see now, the app, we have red background color, but I want to get the color BG, the color BG from the context. So how do we do that? How do we get color from this theme? So we're going to pass this as a prop. I'm going to say theme. I'm going to create a theme prop, and then I'm going to pass the theme prop here. Okay, so here background, I'm just going to do this like this. Actually, yeah, it's like this. And then we're going to do props. So if we do props, and then we're going to create it's going to be like a sumline function, and then here we're just going to say props dot theme dot, and then the color, it's going to be color BG. Okay, like this. So now we have access to the props, the theme prop. Okay, so now we're going to have the props, and then the theme, this one. Okay, and then we're going to access the variable theme dot whatever variable name it is. So now as you can see, the color changed. Okay, so that's the main idea. Now the color change. Yeah, that's it for the app section. Now we just need to work on the header. Let's go ahead and create another component. It's going to be header. Okay, I'm actually going to stop the video right now, and then I'm going to continue on the next video for the header. So this was mainly to set the context API. I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so now let's create a header component. Go into the components folder, create a new file. It's going to be header.js. Okay, so now for the header, let's create a functional component. Create style components as usual. Const header styled, header styled, and then equal to styled from style components, and then it's going to be a header. So style.header like that, and then copy this header styled, replace this div here. Okay, so make sure you import style components like this. Okay, so now we can begin styling the header. So let me go to the browser. As you can see, I'm running live version of the project that I've created before. So this is the final version. So here, as you can see, we have the navigation area, and then we have the header content, and then we have the lines, the background lines. So let's start with the navigation, and then we'll move on to the header content. Okay, so for the in here, I'm going to do nav, and then I'm going to do .navigation. That's the class navigation. So make sure the spelling is correct. Should be navigation like that. Okay, so in here in the navigation, we're going to have a logo section, logo, and then in the logo we're going to have an h2. Then I'm just going to name it logo. You can use an image for the logo. It's up to you what you decide to use. Okay, and then after that I'm going to do ul.nav items, nav items like that, and then li.nav item, nav item. So for this nav item, for these nav items, you can create a separate component for these nav items just in case you want to reuse them. But in this case, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you this as a demonstration purpose. But I don't want to waste your time creating components for each, for whatever component you want to create. So you can create a component for this or a component for the whole navigation. It's up to you, because you might want to reuse this navigation elsewhere. But in this case, we're not going to reuse this navigation anyway, so it's fine. So we just need to duplicate the nav item a few times and then change the text. Okay, so duplicate a few times and then change the text around. Okay, so after the UL, we're going to do the button. There's a button here on the right side. So it's going to have a container class called nav buttons right side. Actually, nav buttons container. Okay, so nav buttons container, that's the class name. You can name it whatever you want. So in here we're going to have a button, but we're going to put that button later. I'm just going to comment, but never mind. So here we're just going to put a button later on. I'll just put a button, and then I'm just going to say test. We're going to start this later on. Okay, so now we have the nav content. Let me refresh this. Because we're not rendering the header, so let's go to the app. In here we need to render the header, so make sure you import the header as well. Make sure you import like this, import header from header. Okay, so now we have the navigation content. Now let's add the body content of the header. Okay, so let's just get finished with the HTML markup. So after the navigation, I'm just gonna say dot header content. I'm just gonna say header content, and then I'm going to do left header content. Okay, oops. So make sure it's a dot. So dot left header content. Oops, like that, and then duplicate, and then you're going to have your right side as well. Right header content. Okay, so I'm just going to add an h1 in here, an h1, and then I'm just going to put a span covering some text. And then this text, I want to, give it a different color, this gradient color here. Okay, so that's why I'm surrounding the text with a span. Okay, you can add any text you want on the header. Okay, so it says we're number one creative digital agency online. You can add anything. So after that, I'm going to add a paragraph. Okay, so I'll add a paragraph. So below here, we actually need the button as well, the same button that's going to come here. So before we do anything, actually, let's create that button. So the button is going to be a separate component. I'm just going to say button.js. Okay, so let's create a styled component for the button. I'm going to say const button styled equal to styled. So make sure you import styled components .a. So it's going to be an anchor tag. You can use a normal button. It's up to you. I'm going to copy this and replace. Okay, so now we have the button. So this button is going to have name. I believe we're going to have an icon for the button, was we're using Font Awesome for the icons, so I'm just going to use those icons. Okay, and then we're going to have a class called called arrow. So we might decide to use this class or not, it's up to you. And then we have blob. So this button is going to be dynamic based on props. Okay, so that's why I'm doing many props. So we're going to have a name in the button. We're also going to have a span. Oops. A span. Okay, so for this one, we're going to have an icon. I tag. So for the I tag, it's going to have a class name, this icon. Class name, I'm just going to give it a class name of icon. And then after that, we're going to have another span. So this one is going to have a class name of blob. Okay, which is coming from the prop blob. So this should be blob, no blog. Okay, so arrow. Let's give this a class name of arrow. Actually, class name of arrow. Okay, I'm also going to go back to the header. I need to create some utility classes which we're going to reuse across these sections. Okay, so the first utility class, let's do here in the header content. Excuse me. We're going to do utility. U stands for utility, and then padding, pad, and then LG, that's padding large. I'm just going to copy this so we can go to the global style, and then that's where we're going to do utility classes. So I'm just gonna go down here. I'm gonna utility. I'm gonna comment utility classes. Okay, so we have padding large. So this one I'm just gonna do padding. Top and bottom I'm gonna set that to 8 rem. Left and right I'm gonna do 18 rem. I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, padding large number 2. We have 2 as well. So I'm gonna do padding top, I'm going to do 1 rem, padding left 18 rem, padding right 18 rem, and then padding bottom 6 rem. Okay, so like that. Okay, so now we have the utility for the padding. We also, well, yeah, let's keep it like that. So now let's go back to the header. We should have a padding in the header. As you can see, we have a nice padding. Okay, but now let's begin styling. Styling the header. So to see, actually we need to add the buttons first. So here, don't forget to import button. So make sure you import the button. I'm importing the button automatically, so you need to do that manually if you don't. So like this, import button from the components folder. So for the button we have name. So for the name of the button, I'm just gonna call this button get started. Get started, and then I'm gonna give it an icon. So icon, I'm just gonna put a class name from Font Awesome. So get any class name from Font Awesome, and then you can give it the button an icon like this. Okay, so that's the icon. And then I'm gonna also do arrow for the button, arrow, and then I'm gonna add a class called arrow. We're going to start this class in a bit. And then we'll just do blob like this, and then give it a class of blob like that. So now we have a button. We should have a button. There it is, it says get started. I'm going to copy this button, and then I'm going to paste it here. Again, we're using the same button, just change the name of the button. I'm going to say request a quote, okay, like that. So now we have a different name of the button. It should be here. There it is. So now let's start with the styling. Okay, header. So in the header, let's give it a min height of 100 VH. That's the minimum height for the header. And then we're going to give it a position of relative, because we're going to move some stuff around. And then we're going to get the navigation. For the navigation, we're going to do display, and then we're going to do grid. Okay, the reason we're doing grid is when you go here, so we have this area for the navigation. It is a fixed space, this grid item, and then this is going to occupy the remaining space, and then this one, it will only occupy its size. Okay, so grid template columns, and then we're going to do 100 pixel for the logo area, and then 1 FR for the middle part, and then we're going to do auto for the the button. Okay, we're just going to give it a padding, top and bottom padding. Top and bottom, let's do 1 rem and then 2 rem. Okay, like that. We have a padding. So what we also need to do, let's go back in the app.js, let's give it a color. So we want by default the color to be white. Okay, so we're going to do color. So to get the color again, let's do props. Okay, we also want to use the props similar function, and then we're going to do props dot theme, and then I'm going to say dot color. This color is going to be white, color white. That's the color I've given that. Okay, so that's for the app.js. What else do we need in here? For now, let's target all of the anchor tags, all of the A's, to have a color of white as well. So I'll copy this. I want all of the links to have white color. I'll copy that, and then I'll do P. This one color is going to be let's do color gradient. Actually, no, let's do color font. That's the variable name for the P tag. Okay. Okay, so now let's do, okay, so as you can see here, by default the home is active. So let's do a class. Actually, let's give it a class. Let's give it class name. Let's do active menu. Okay, so we want it to be active by default. So yeah, it's actually, let's do it here, dot active, oops, dot active menu, something like that. And then for the active menu border radius, I'm gonna do 30 pixels, and then background color of gradient number 2. Okay, props theme gradient number 2, primary number 2. So there it is. Okay, so now let's go back to the navigation. Navigation. Okay, so we've done the padding. Let's do border bottom. Excuse me. 1 pixel solid, and then we're going to do props. Oops. Props dot theme dot color gray 9. That's for the border bottom. So there it is. So color gray 9. Okay, border bottom 1 pixel solid. The reason it's not working because we're not using theme as a prop. Okay, so here we need to import theme. Actually, no, it's use theme. We need to import use theme from our context, and then here we're gonna say const theme equal to use theme. Okay. And then excuse me, and then we add that as a prop. Okay, so now let's save. There it is, the color is working. So now we need to, let's disable these warnings here. To do that, go up here, comment lint disable. I believe that's the disable, like that. Okay, it's gone. So now let's go back down here. We have the border. Let's keep styling. Let's start with the logo. Okay, so let's do display flex, and then align items to center. Okay, now let's save. Actually, we might also want to do animation later on. We'll do the animation later. Let's start with the styles first, and then we'll do the animations later. Okay, so after the logo, we're going to do dot nav items. Let's do display flex, align items to center, and then we're going to justify content, flex end, and then we're going to do margin right. Let's do 4 okay, like that. So with the nav items, and then let's do nav item. Let's target the individual nav item, margin 0, and then we're going to do 0.7 rem left and right. Okay. Let's save. Looking pretty neat. Okay, let's keep going. So in there, we're going to target the anchor tag, text transform. Let's do uppercase, and then we're going to do font size. Let's do 1 rem. We also need to do a padding. Let's do 0.8 rem. You can mess around with these values, it's up to you. You can mess around to see what you can get. And then I'm going to do position relative, and then I'm going to add a before pseudo element. Let's do before. So the before pseudo element is the element that comes when we hover. So when I go here, when I hover, that's the before pseudo element. So we need to implement that. Let's do content empty string, and then position absolute, and then we're going to do top and left 0, so and width and height 100%. Excuse me. Okay, so now we need to do a background, not background color. Okay, so the color for the background is gradient primary 2. Okay. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm coughing when I'm making the video. I don't cough off camera, but now I'm just coughing again. Okay, so we need to do a border radius 30 pixel, and then let's do transform scale. Okay, let's do 0, and then let's give it a transition as well, so it's going to animate properly. Transition 0.4 seconds, ease in and ease out. Okay, and then the z index, we want it to be -1 because it's going to be behind the content. Okay, so z index -1, so it's there, but we want it to come when we hover. Okay, how do we do that? So after the before, let's do and on hover and the before. Transform scale to 1. Okay. Sorry. So let's go back to the global style. Let's see, we need to style the anchor tags. Let's go to the global. Let's do define some default styles for all of the A tags. Okay, so let's do font weight. Let's set that to 500, and then font family, inherit. Okay, so now let's do the P tag. 500, and okay, that's it for that. Now looks pretty good. Oops, wrong one. Okay, now let's do the button actually to make it come alive. Go to the button and let's start doing the styles. Okay, cursor pointer. So the button is going to have a circle. When we hover, this circle that comes, this circle that gets bigger. Yeah, we need to style that one. So overflow hidden. I won't be talking much because, you know, if I keep talking a lot, I'm gonna start coughing. Okay, so the gradient is going to be gradient number 3, and then give it a bit of padding and border radius. Okay, transition 0.4 seconds, ease in and ease out. Okay, inline block. Okay, so we're going to target the blob class. We're going to position absolute that. You can mess around with these values if you want. You can try to see what values works for you, but these are the values that works for me. It's up to you. Okay, so height, width and height, they're going to be 180 pixels, and then a border radius of 50% to make it rounded. Okay, so this is a background color RGBA, white color 255. It's a white color with an opacity of 20%, 0.2. That's 20%. Okay, so let's give it a border radius of 50%. So we want to make it rounded. So as you can see now, the button is rounded. Oops, I'm still looking at the original. Here's the button, and that's the background circle. Okay, so let's keep going. Actually, we need a transition here as well. I'll put a cubic bezier, I don't know how to pronounce it. Cubic bezier. You can generate that from type cubic bezier, and then you can click the first link, cubicbezier.com, and then you can mess around with this, the graph, and then you can sort of, you know, preview the animation of how it will look like and stuff. So yeah, you can kind of mess around with these values here. Okay, so yeah, in this case, I found these values to work well for me. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna move on to the hover effect. When you hover the button on hover, we're going to, you know, mess around with the span, the positioning of the button. Let's do right, minus 30%, minus 30%, and then we're going to do top, let's do minus 15 pixels. Okay, so now let's see, when you hover, nothing happens because we didn't write it properly. And hover. Okay, so as you can see, it's getting bigger. Okay, you can kind of mess around with the values for the cubic bezier animation. It's up to you. So now for the button, we just need to give it a background. Okay, but this background here, it doesn't exist yet because we need to include the use theme from the context. Okay, use theme from context. Okay, and then here we're going to do const theme. We're going to use the theme. We're going to get all of the variables from context, and then we need to pass that as a prop called theme, and then we're going to do theme. Okay, so now we're going to have access to the variable now. As you can see, the button looks well. Now we need to, you know, style this arrow here. It's just to be animated. So the animated arrow, it has a class name of arrow. So that's what we need to work on. Let's go back to the global style. So we need to start the class name called arrow. So for let's do margin left 0.5 rem, and then we're going to target the eye tag, the eye icon. Okay, so now let's do font size 0.9 rem. I don't know why it's doing 0%. Okay, and then here we're going to do an animation. We need to give it an animation. I'm going to say move left, right, and then I'm going to play the animation for 2 seconds, and then it's going to be infinite. It's going to keep looping. So let's create an animation now. So I was thinking of doing some animations using GSub, but I didn't want to make the video very long, so we're just going to stick to CSS. So I'm going to call this move error. So now on 0%, what do we want? What do we want to happen? We're going to transform this and then translate x. Want to the icon to move on the x-axis. Okay, so let's do 0 and then let's do 100. Okay, we also need to do 50%. What do we want to do on 50%? Well, we want to move it up. No, I mean to the x-axis, 10 pixels to the right side, 10 pixels, and then it comes back to 0 again. So now the animation should work. There is our animation. It's working. Okay, so now let's do the lines. So this background lines here, let's focus on doing those lines now. So to do the lines, go to the app.js, and then here let's do lines. We haven't created the lines yet. After the header, let's do lines, and then in here I'm going to create 4 lines. I'm going to say $sign multiply by 4. We're going to have 4 lines. Oh, it's not working for some reason. By the way, create 4 lines with a class of line. Okay, so I'm going to say dot line like this. Okay, so we need four of these. Okay, now lines, we need to start styling. So width and height is going to have 100%, and the position of absolute excuse me, top, okay, display flex, and then we're going to do justify content. We're going to do space evenly. Okay, and then the z index we want to be -1 below the content. Okay, so now let's target the line. Let's do line height, not line height, mean height of 100%, and then let's do width 1 pixel, and then give it a color, a background color of gray 9. There it is. Okay, now we have the lines. Let's work on the header content. Excuse me. Header content. I don't know why I keep coughing when I'm recording. Okay, so we're going to use a grid for the header content. Display grid, and then we're going to have 2 columns, left and right. Okay, and then I'm going to target the left header content. But I'm going to animate it right now actually, the left header content. Okay, so I'm going to create an animation up here. I'm going to, not media, keyframes. I'm going to call this animation content hide. Okay, so you can name this animation whatever you want. We're only going to animate the opacity and the transformation. 0%. Let's do opacity 0. Transform, translate. Let's do X. Okay. Let's do -120%, and then scale X. Let's do 0. Let's do 100. Let's do 0 and 1. Okay, so this animation content hide, I think actually we're only going to use this in the left header content, so it's fine if we put it here. So we can do animation content hide, and then I'm going to do 1 second is in and is out. Okay, the animation is working. The thing is, I think there's no transition. That's why, you know, it's a bit weird at the moment, but we're going to fix that later. Okay, yeah, so let's keep going. Left header content. Let me minimize this. We have an h1. Remember the span inside the title. Background. We're going to give it gradient number 2. And then we're going to do background clip because we want to get the background of the text, which is the gradient. Background clip. We're going to clip the text. Okay, we need to do the WebKit as well. Text, and then we're going to do color transparent because we've clipped the background. So there it is. Okay, it's looking nice, looking pretty neat. After the h1, we're going to target the paragraph within the header. We're just going to, give it a padding and some font weights like that. Font weight 1.1, font size 1.1, height 1.6, and it looks pretty neat. So now we just need to work on the images on the right side, but let's animate the right content also, but we need to do the images first. Okay, so the right header content, I'm just going to do img source. Let's do agency. So we're going to do agency images. We need to import those images. So I'm going to say agency agency 4, and then here I'm going to do agency 3. So now we just need to import those images. Import agency 3 from the .img. Let's do agency 3. Okay, and then we need to do agency 4 as well. Okay, now save. Now we have the images. Okay, so now it's a matter of styling the images which are contained in the right header content, right header content. Okay, so make sure it's right. Excuse me. Okay. Now let's do we need to do animations actually. Let's do a keyframe. Content. We need to reuse the animation content hide, and then we're going to do animation delay. Let's do 0.5 seconds. 0.5 seconds. Okay, and then let's do opacity. Let's set that to 0, and then animation fill mode, let's do forwards. So it's going to animate the opacity from 0 to 1. Okay, so let's do you know what, let's do a separate animation for this one. Let's do content hide 2 at keyframe, identifier 0%. Let's do opacity 0. Transform translate. Let's do the y, actually. Y-axis minus 120%. Okay, and then we're going to do scale as well. Let's do 0. Let's do 100. And by the way, we need to do the visibility. Let's put it to visible. Okay, so translate y 0. Okay, so yeah, minus 120 back to 0. Let's we need to put the name here, content height, like so. Seems like we have no transition, like so. Actually, we have a transition here. Something is going on with the animation. Okay, transition, opacity, the kind of popping. We need to fix that. But first, let's start the images first. Okay, so minimize this, and then when we have we're going to target the edge. You know what? We'll fix this separately. Never. Let's style the. Let's double check. Okay, so when you have the area, the image is kind of shifts. So that means we need to give each image, a different class name. Okay, right. Yeah, I think we need to give each image, a different class name, to make it different when you have okay, so let's do class name. Class. Oops, what am I doing? Class name. I'm gonna say header image 3. I'm gonna copy this, paste it. This will be header image. Let's just say 2. Okay. Now let's go back to the styles so we can style the image. So in the right header, dot header img. Let's start with the second one or the third one, it's up to you. Position absolute. Okay, so width, I'm gonna give it a width of 350 pixels and height of 400 pixels. Let's do object fit cover so the image doesn't stretch. Okay, and then top and left, I'm going to give left 5% and then top 15%. Okay, we need to do border bottom right radius. Let's give it 5 pixels, and then border bottom left radius, border bottom left radius. Let's do 70 pixels for that, and then we need to do border top right radius, top right radius 5 pixels, and then excuse me, So now let's do the other image. We need to give this a transition as well. Alright, so now let's do the other image. I'll copy this. Okay. Absolute. The width is 350 pixels and 600 pixels for the height. And then right to 0. I want the image to be at the right side, 0. And then I'm just going to paste in some values here for border. So border bottom right radius 70 pixels. It's only a bit of a mix up from what we've done up here. Same thing, but just mixing up the values. Okay, so as you can see now we have the images. So same exactly like that. Okay. I don't know why it's a little bit different. I think it's because of we have no scroll bar yet. Okay, so now everything looks good. We just need to work on the hover animations for the image. So I'm going to do on hover here. I'm going to do .img, actually header image img2. Here I'm just going to do transform scale. I'm going to bring it down to 0.9. And then I'm going to do number 3. I'm going to make it 1.1. I'm going to make it bigger. And there it is. But the transition is not working for because we didn't add the transition. Add the transition. Okay, so now the transition works. Everything looks good. So now let's go back and do this mouse here, this little mouse with an animation. So for the mouse, we just need to add some markup. Let's go down here. Let's do .mouse. So just, give it a class of mouse, and then you go down. Okay, so you can go all the way out here. You do mouse position absolute, and then I'm going to do bottom. I want it to be at the bottom. I'm going to say 3%. I want it to be all the way at the bottom. So, and then left, I want to be centered on the x-axis. So left 50%, and then translate on the x-axis. Translate x, and then I'm going to do -50 because I want it to be nicely centered on the x-axis. I'm going to give it a width of 30 pixels, put the radius 30 pixels, and then height of 45 pixels. Okay, like that. And then border, I'm just going to give it a border of 2 pixels solid, and then a color of white. And then let's do pointer events. I don't want to interact with it when I hover. Let's do none. Okay, so there's a span inside the button, which is the circle. This little dot here, the circle. Okay, so that's the span. So actually, let's add the span. Okay, in the mouse with the span. So now I'm going to target the span. Let's do position of absolute, the span, because we want to position it around on the center. Actually, let's do left 50% and right 50%, and then translate -50%, -50%. Want it to be centered on the x-axis and y-axis. Okay, so now let's continue. Let's give the border radius for 50% because I want it to be a circle. The background, I'm going to use color gradient number 3. Okay, so you know how that goes. Props, and then gradient number 3. Okay, and then animation, I'm going to do up down. That's the animation name. And then I want it to play for 1 second, and then it's going to be infinite. So now we just need to create the animation, at keyframes. Let's do up down, up down. That's the animation. So basically we're going to scale animation to animate the scale. Okay, translation as well. Transform. We're going to start with translate Y. Let's start with minus 13 pixels up. Minus 13 pixels. Pixels up. Pixels. And then translate X minus 50% because I want it to be still centered. And then scale. We're going to give it scale 1 of 1.3. Okay. Let's do 10%. Copy this. 10%. We're just messing with the values. Okay, so 10%, I want it to stay the same at 10%. I don't want to change anything. But at 50, however, that's where we're going to make another change. Okay, so instead of minus 13 pixels, it's going to be 10 pixels. Okay, that's where we make the change, and then the scale is going to be 1. And then finally, we do 100%, which everything goes back to normal, the starting point, which is minus 13 pixels. Minus 13 pixels, and then, yeah, the same thing, the scale goes back to 1. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Save. Nothing comes. Up down, up down, up down, span, position absolute. Oh, because I think I'm missing width and height here. Width, let's do 6 pixels, and height 6 pixels because we're using border radius. 50% is going to be rounded. Okay, there you go. So the animation works. Let me refresh this. What's missing are the animations for the navigation, header. So all of the animations are missing. Okay, so let's let me refresh again. I'm just kind of looking to find where we can start the animation. Okay, so content hide, navigation. So here, up here, let's do animation here. Let's do at keyframes. Let's do 0%. It's going to be minus 0%, minus 100, and 100% is going to be 0 on the y-axis. So okay, so the name for this one, let's name it navhide. Okay, so navhide, that's our animation. Here we just do animation navhide. Let's do 1 second, ease in and ease out. Okay, so there's a navhide animation, but it looks kind of bland. Let's do scale. So let's do scale. We're going to scale on the y-axis. Let's do 0 and then all the way up to 1. Okay, so it doesn't look that bland. 0. Let's refresh this. Okay, it looks good. Now with the animation, we can actually do opacity as well. Opacity, let's do 0, and then opacity, let's do 1. Okay, so now we can, you might want to reuse this animation somewhere, but let's see if we need to reuse it. So for the logo, I might want to do the logo separately. Animation, or do navhide. Navhide, 1 second, ease in and ease out, and then let's try to do animation delay. Let's do 0.2 seconds, 0.2 seconds or something. Something weird is going on. I don't know what's this weird background is here for the logo animation. Let's see. I don't know what's going on. Let's do visibility. Visible. Visibility 0, I think, or hidden. Let's see how that works. Animation. We need to do animation fill mode. Let's do forwards, so the animation after it animates everything. Okay, yeah. Now it works. So the logo comes a bit after the nav content. Let's do the nav item animation as well. Animation nav hide. So we want to kind of, stagger the animation. Let's do ease in and ease out as well. So we want to stagger the animation. Let's do animation delay. Let's do 0.4 seconds or 0.3. Let's try 0.38 seconds. What's going on here? I don't know what's going on. Let me remove the navigate again. Refresh. I don't know what was going on there. Okay. Strange. I think I know why. Visibility hidden. Fill mode forwards. I think the same thing. It's so weird, isn't it? Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Okay, so now we can also do the button if you want to, but I'm not going to waste your time, doing the animations one by one. But now let's do the header content, because we haven't done the animations for the header content yet. Okay, so right header content, actually the header content itself, or we can start with the right header content. Right header content. Okay, so for the right header content, we're going to start with the content hide 2 animation. We're going to animate the opacity. Let's do visibility to none. Okay, so it's now going to none, and then visible is going to be visible 100%. Okay, so animation fill modes forwards, delay 0.5. animation that we're using, we need to give it a duration actually. So the duration, let's do 1 second, ease in and ease out. Okay, now let's see, let's refresh this. Okay, so everything works. So now let's do the left content animation. For the left side, we're going to do the x-axis. Content hide. So here, animation. We're going to do 1 second. Let's do. Let's see what we're animating here. Manners 120%. Opacity just to go all the way up to 1. Okay, so now let's refresh. Okay, so now the animations works really well. We can give it a delay as well. If you want, you can give this one a delay. It's up to you, but this looks good for me. Okay, so that's it for the header. I'll see you on the next section, which we're going to work on the agency about section. Okay, so now let's do the about. New file, about section .js. Okay, so this is going to be another new section. So each section is going to have like a utility class. Okay, so React function component const is going to be about section styled, which is going to be equal to style components dot section. Okay, so copy this. I'm going to speed up a little bit. Copy this, and then in this section, don't forget we need theme as a prop, because we're going to use the theme variables, and then we're going to say use theme from context. Okay, so we need to create a variable here, const theme like that, and then we're using use theme. Okay, and then the class name, we're going to give it a class name. We're going to give it a utility padding 2. Okay, because we want to do a padding. Okay, so that's the about section. I don't know what I clicked. It's being weird for some reason. Okay, so now with the about section, we have a few things. We have the left side with our title, and then we have the h3, the class of title, and then I'm just gonna add a title in here, and then I'm going to have a p lorem. You can do lorem 10 or lorem 30, it's up to you, but I'm just going to paste in the text here. Okay, so after that excuse me, after the paragraph, with the about info, in the about info, we're going to have about info item dot about info item, like that, something like that. And then we have the icon section, and then we have img. I'm gonna say project management. That's the name of the image. Okay, and then after the image, the icon, we're going to have a text container dot text container. In the text container, we're going to have it h5, and then it's going to say project management. Okay, so project management, and then we're going to have a paragraph as well with random text. You can add any text you want, random text. Okay, the funny thing is, I'm gonna go here. You can create a component for this project item here, a separate component, but I don't want to waste your time creating multiple components for this. But this can be like each component, same component, and you can reuse this with different icons. But in this case, we're not going to reuse it anyway, so there's no need to create multiple components for that. Create a component for that. So I'll just create it as a fixed component. Okay, so project management. So now we need to import project management from img. So the project management icon comes from the icons. Okay, img, and then I'm going to do icons project management. Okay, let me go here. Oh, we're not rendering the about. Go to the app, to main section, and then here we're going to do about. We're going to render the about component, about section, so make sure you import that section. Okay, so now we have the about section. There it is. Now we just need to style the about section. Okay, we actually have an image on the right about. Let me get that image first as well. Okay, about section, about info. This should be dot about info. This should be a div like that, and then this should be left about, not lefty. Dot right about. So on the right about, we're going to have an image. We're going to have agency one, and then we're going to have another image. It's going to be box, box, and then it is a class name about img, and then this one is going to have a class name of box img. Box img. So now we just need to import those images. Import box from img. This should be box.svg, and then import team management from img icons team management. Okay, we also need agency one from img agency one, like so. Okay, so far so good. So now let's go to the styling. So it's basically a grid as usual. Display, I want to do grid, and then like that, display grid, template columns, one FR. Okay, and then I'm just going to give it a padding top of 10 rem, and then I'm just going to put important just in case it's trying to overrides itself. Okay, and then I'm going to do left about. Okay, so for the left about, I'm going to target the paragraph. I'm going to give it a padding. I'm going to do 1.5 rem, and then 0 left and right. Okay, so with the dot about info, okay, and then with the about info item, within that display grid, I want it to have a width of 120 pixels, and then fill the remaining space on the other one. So we have two grid items, two columns. The first column is going to have 120 pixels, and then the second one is going to be automatic. Okay, 0.6 rem, and then 0 left and right. Okay, so I'm going to target the H5. Do font size. Let's do 1.3 rem. Okay, so I'm going to style the icons. Dot icon. Okay, I'm going to do background color. Background color is going to be white. Okay, white or background color, and then display flex, and then center everything using center with flex. Just for content and align items to center, and then I'm going to give it a margin right. So margin right, it's going to be 1 rem, and then padding, it's going to be 1 rem, and then border radius 7 pixels. Okay, now let's see what we have. Okay, so it starts to come out nicely. Okay, let's keep going. So that's the left about for now. Let's go to the right about. Dot right about. So position relative, and then we're going to do display flex. Display flex, and then we're going to do justify content flex end dot about img width we're going to give it 90%, and then object fit to cover, and then height of 500 pixels. Okay, and then border top left radius, let's do 70 pixels. We've done this before. Border top bottom radius, not top bottom, but border bottom right radius 70 pixels, and then border top right radius 3 pixels, and same for the bottom. And then let's give it a transition. Let's do 0.3 seconds in and ease out. Okay, now let's save. There it is. Okay, so now we need to style the, let's do end hover. We just need to scale a little bit on hover. There it is. Sorry. Okay, so now let's do the box. Absolute. Let's do top. Okay, top and left values. We've styled that. So now let's do the animation for the thingy. Let's do animation scale up, and then 8 seconds infinite. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, so this one is 50%. 50%. We're going to go to 100%. Okay, so for 100, we're going to do 1. Okay, for 50, it's going to be 1.2. Okay, so now let's save up. So there's the animation. It's working nice and slow. Okay, so that's for the box image. Now let's do the title, which we haven't done yet. So let's do the title. Okay, I'm looking for where to do the title. Let's do the class name. Okay, the class name is title. I'm kind of looking for what I did for styling for the title, what font size. So I'm just going to tag it here. It's actually in the left. I'm just thinking for the font size. Let's do 1.6 rem. Let's see what we got. I think I'll stick to 1.6 rem. I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'll leave it at that. 1.6. So that's oh yeah, we need one more component here. So I'll go to the about section. I'll close this header, and the button I'll close it for now. So we need to duplicate the about item. Remember, we could have created a component for this item, but I don't want to waste your time creating a lot of components. This will be project management. I'm thinking of the name of this one. What did I name it? Let me look for the reference image to see what I've named it. It's actually team management. So this one will be team management. Team management. Go change this one to team management. There it is. So now we just need to change the title to team management. Okay, so team management. Okay, so yeah, that's it for the about section. I'll see you on the next video. We're going to be working on the services section. Okay, so let's go down to the services section component. Go create a new component, services section to JS. I'm just going to paste in the boilerplate. Okay, so if you're sick and tired of rewriting this, when you create a new component, just create a new file here. Just say boiler.txt. Just paste in this boilerplate. You can just copy and paste whenever you create a new component, instead of redoing this over and over again. Okay, so now we have the service section component. So we're actually going to create a new component again. It's going to be title to JS. I'm going to paste in the boilerplate again. So now we just need to change this one to section styled to title styled. Okay, title styled. There it is. So everything neat. So now just change this from section. The title is going to be, well, let's give it a, let's do it a div. It's going to be a parent actually. So we're going to have an h3. We're going to have a name prop, and then we're going to have a p. Subtext. Name and subtext. Okay, so now let's style those first. A3. Okay, so now we have the title. We need to put the title into a container actually. Close this. I'm going to say dot title container. That's where I'll put the title inside the container. Okay, I'm going to say title what did I name the title? Okay, title. For some reason it's not showing up. I'm going to close the title. Close that. Save. Let's do title. It's not showing up. Let's do import title from components. Oh, we didn't need to go out of the component. Never mind. So now we have title. We should have a name. So the name for the title, let's do services. We have subtext, remember? A prop called subtext. I'm just going to paste in some text here for the subtext. Okay, so subtext, I'll paste in some random text. You can put any text you want for the subtext. So now we have a title. We're not rendering this component. Go to the app, about section, let's do services section. Services section like so, render the component, services section, what, wrong import. Okay, so there it is. But the title container, we need to style the title container, okay, because I want this to be centered. So excuse me again, go to the global, below arrow dot title container, text align, center, width, let's give a width of 60%, and then margin, let's do 0, top and bottom, and the automatic left and right. Okay, so let's also target the p tag, text align to center also, and then padding top to rem, and then padding bottom, let's do 2 rem also. Okay, so now the title container should work like so. So now we need to work on these cards here. So we're going to create a card component. So inspect, and then let's do service card, service card.js. Okay, so go to the boiler, copy, same process. Now double click, press F2 to refactor. So this should be card service. Okay, so now we've refactored the naming. Okay, actually it still says service section styled, services section styled. Okay, so this is a service card. We need to refactor this service card. Okay, like that. So now we've refactored the card. So now it's only a matter of doing the card. So we're going to have a lot of props. We're going to have name. Let's do title actually. Title, description, and then we're going to have the icon. Okay, so in here we're going to do dot service item container, and then we're going to have an image with a source of icon. Okay, and then we're going to have an h4, the title, and then we're going to have a paragraph. It's going to be description, actually description, and then we're going to have a button, dot learn, let's say learn more. You can make a separate component for this button if you want to, it's up to you. Okay, then span, learn more, learn more. And then we also need to reuse the arrow. If you remember the arrow class that we've done before, span dot arrow, we've done the arrow before. And then I'm just gonna do an icon, a chevron right from Font Awesome. So you can go to Font Awesome and look for the icon that you want. Okay, and then I'm gonna save. So that's it for the markup for the whole thing, for the card. So now we just need to style the card. So now let's render the card first. So how do we do that? So go to the services section. To render the card, we need to create a parent container. Okay, so after the title container, let's do services container. So here we're going to do service card, Okay, it's going to have some props. So we have title. So the title for that, let's do 3D animation, and then I'm going to have description, disk. You can just generate some lorem text, or you can copy this. It's up to you. I'm just going to paste some text. Make sure it's good. I'll paste in this, make sure it's description, the name of the prop, and then we have icon, and then we're going to do animation. So now we need to import the icons that we're going to be using. So in this case, I'm just going to paste in the icons, because I don't waste your time importing all of them one by one. So we're basically importing animation from icons, 3D animation. So these are the paths for every icon. So just have a look and import these. Okay, we're going to use them later when we make more cards. Okay, so icon is not, defined. Title, description, icon. Okay. Oh, we're getting this on the wrong thing. It should be in the service card, not in the use theme. Okay, there you go. So now everything works. I'm going to disable ESLint again. ESLint disable. Okay. Sorry. Now let's style the thing. So let's start with the background color. Let's do gray light, and then text align, padding, seven pixels, and then a transition, the position of relative. Okay, so now let's do a before pseudo element. So the before is when we have this element here. Okay, so let's do the standard of styling the before. Standard content percent of absolute, the percent of relative is the parent. Okay, and then let's give it a background and a transition. Background of gradient primary 2, and then transition, and also want to do transform. Let's do a scale. We're going to scale 0. The size is going to scale 0. Okay, and then let's do border, bottom left radius. Let's do 5. We need to do right also on the hover. So we don't see it yet because we haven't styled the card yet. Okay, and then and hover on hover we're going to give it a box shadow, 10 pixels. I'm just going to paste a note to write this one by one. So 10 pixels on the X, 10 pixels Y, 0 for the blur, and then the color border. Transform, and then we're going to translate Y. Okay, so Y, let's do minus 5 pixels, and then the before, so the element, we're going to animate that again. 4, it's end. Before, we're going to animate that. We're going to scale it back to 1. Okay, so as you can see, it's scaling. That's what we want. That's the effect we're looking for. Okay, so now service card item container, let's tell that service card dot service card item container con for container. Okay, for that I'm going to target the image. I'm just going to do img, and then I'm going to do padding bottom. Let's do 2 rem, and then let's target the height, and then let's do 68 pixels for the image. Let's target the h4. Font size, let's set that to 1.5 rem, and then we're going to do padding bottom. So padding bottom, we're going to set that to 1 rem, and then let's target the p tag. For the p tag, let's do padding bottom also of 1.5 rem. Okay, now let's save. Let's see what we get. So everything looks pretty neat, but we just need to style the cards. So to do that, we need to target the services container and display it as a grid. Okay, as you can see here, we have a responsive grid. So we want to do that for the cards. So here we're going to target the services container because we want each card to have to be a grid item. So what we do is say display grid template columns, and then we're going to say repeat autofill because we want the grid to be responsive. Okay, autofill, and then we're going to do min max. So the minimum width of the card is going to be 320 pixels. Okay, everything is going to be automatically filled. Okay, autofill, min max of 320 pixels, actually 320 pixels, and then we're going to give it a grid gap of maybe 2 rem for the grid gap, and then let's give it a padding top. Padding top, pad top. So padding top is going to be 3 rem. Okay, so now we should have multiple grid items. Oops, wrong one. So there it is, but we're missing a padding here. It's not flowing through like the content, so we need to give it a class name. So styled class name, I believe it's u pad lg, I think it's 2, like this. That's the utility class for each section. Class name, class styled service card. Oh, it shouldn't be on service card, it should be on the service section here. That's where we want the utility padding class. Okay, so now it's in the correct area. Okay, so something seems to be wrong with this image. Let me inspect. It seems to be smaller. Height 68 pixels. I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Excuse me. I'm going to increase the size of that from 68. Let's do, where the heck did I do 68? Let's do 8 actually 80 pixels or 100 pixels. Yeah, let's do 100 pixels. 100 pixels. Okay, I think that's better. Okay, I think that's better. So now we just need to duplicate this card and change the text. Not the text, yeah, the text. So let's go to save section, duplicate this card multiple times, and all you need to do is change the text around. As you can see, everything is nice in a grid. So you just need to change the text around of each card component, but in this case I'm just going to paste in some cards that I've already changed the text already. I don't waste your time doing this on screen. Okay, so I'll just copy Okay, so once you duplicate these cards, I'm just going to add like 5 more cards here, and then we just need to change the image icon, the text, and the icons. Okay, so now I'm using those icons that I've imported. These are the icons, so you just need to change them around. Now I'm gonna save. Now I'm gonna have 6 cards, but there's something going on with the text. because I've named this description disk. Okay, oh, it's not updating the rest. Description. Okay, so now there you go. So now we have finished with the save section. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the recommended section. Okay, so let's work on the recommendation section, which isn't going to be that crazy. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and copy the boilerplate. Create a new component, recommendations section .js. Okay, recommendations. Let's do the same thing. Okay, like that. It's too long, but okay. Okay, so we're just gonna have dot left recommendation section left rec. It's basically just going to be an image here. Agency 2. We're basically going to import agency 2 from img agency 2. Okay, and then we have right recommendation section right rec. Okay, so with the recommendation content rec content in the right rec. Okay, and then we're going to have a title h3 to title. Here we're going to, I'm just going to paste in some text. Okay, get personalized digital recommendations, and then I'm going to break after digital to go to the next line. Okay, so after that I'm just going to have a paragraph, and then I'm going to use the button. I'm going to reuse the button component. Okay, remember we have props, we have name and classes. I'm just going to paste in the buttons here. Okay, so now we need to render this component. Let's go to app. In the main, we need to render the recommendation section. We need to render that. So now we're reusing this button, but we want it to be black here. So we want it to be different. We're going to get rid of the background very soon. Okay, so we can actually use the background as a prop if you want to. So we can, you know, put it dynamic backgrounds if you want to do that. So we can definitely do any CSS property. We can use it as a prop here if you want to. But I'm not going to do that. It's going to be a waste of time for this video. So unless if you want to do that, yeah, feel free to do that. Okay, so now we've added the text. So now what we basically need to do is the styling. That's it. So now it's definitely a grid. Template columns, so we're going to do 1FR, so that's 2 columns with the same size. Okay, so the background color is going to be color background 3, color BG3, so that's going to be the background color. Okay, margin bottom, let's do 6 rem, and then we're going to give it a box shadow 0 pixel on the X, 5 pixels on the Y, 18 pixels for blur, and then that's the color hash 2212529B7. Okay, so now let's target the left, which is the image. left recommendation, overflow hidden, overflow hidden, border top left radius, we're going to set that to 5 pixels. Okay, and then I'm going to target the img, the image, border top left radius, let's do 5 pixels also, and then width 100%, and then object fit cover so the image doesn't stretch. Okay, and then we're going to make it black and white. Filter, we're going to do grayscale, and then 100% to make it black and white. Okay, and then height, let's do 100%, and then we're going to do a transition. Let's do 0.3 seconds. You can mess around with the values if you want to, that's entirely up to you. Okay, so now let's do on hover. We are going to filter, we're going to bring back the color to normal. Let's put to 0 the filter, and then we're going to transform that the image on hover. We're going to scale the image, and then 1.2 for the scale, and then we're also going to rotate this image on hover. So for the rotation, we're going to do -5 degrees. -5 degrees. Okay, so let's save. Let's see what we have. So there is our image. It looks pretty neat on hover. Okay, so now let's do the right recommendation. So for the right recommendation, display, flex, align items to center, and then we're going to target the recommendation content. So for the red content, I'm going to give it a padding of 1 rem around everything. And then what we have in here, we have an H3, which is the title, font size 3 rem, or let's do 2.5 rem. Position, I'm going to set that to relative, and give it a margin bottom, because we're going to do and after or before pseudo element. That's why we're setting the position to relative. So let's do after pseudo element, that's the standard content to an empty string. Okay, so let's do width for that. Let's set that to 20%, and then height, let's do 2 pixels. The background color, we need to do the color accent, actually color accent, and then I want it to be left 0, to be at the left side, and then bottom 0 as well. After excuse me. Okay, rec content, so make sure this the class names are correct, so just make sure they're correct. Rec content okay, position absolute absolute. So now there it is. We can make this as a gradient if you want to. It's up to you. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so when you go here, that's how it looks like. Looks pretty similar to me, so that's good. So now after the H3, I'm going to change the paragraph color. Okay, so the color for the paragraph I'm going to set to gray 4, and then padding bottom I'm going to do 2 rem. Okay, so the button, it's actually the same color. We can make it black, but let's just leave it the same color. Okay, so everything looks pretty much the same to me. So yeah, that's it for the recommendation section. The next section, we're going to work on the explore our digital work section. Okay, so yeah, I'll stop the video for now. Okay, so now we need to create a new component. So this is going to be, well, let's see, latest work section. So you can call this, latest work section if you want to do that. So let's call it that. Latest work section .js. Latest work section, or latest, let's make it shorter, latest section. Okay, so now go back to the boiler, copy. As you can see, this comes in handy, isn't it? I'll close the recommendation. Latest latest. Okay, boom, easy peasy squeezy. So now let's start with the title. So bring back the recommendations. What we need to do is, actually not the recommendation, let's bring the service section. Let's just copy this title container here, copy this whole thing, and go back to the latest section, and then just paste in the title. We just need to import the title. I'm sorry about that, I forgot to put my phone on silent. So we need to import title from components title. Okay, so now we've imported the title. We just need to change the title from services. Well, let's say our latest digital work. That's what we're going to name it. Latest digital work. So when I save, there's nothing because we're not rendering the component. Let's go back to app.js. Let's render this latest section. Now we're rendering the component. There it is. So now we have the title. So now let's work on this area here, the card. So I'm going to close the service section. We don't need it anymore. I'm going to collapse the title also. So now I'm just going to say dot latest container. So in the latest container, I'm going to have the latest content. We're going to have an image. So this one is going to have latest. So latest is just an image coming from the images folder called latest.png. Okay, so latest.jpg, actually it's a JPEG, latest. Okay, like that. So now we have the image. We need, after the image, we're going to have text, latest text, the text section, h4. Okay, dot title. I'm just going to paste in the title, and then we're going to have an h6. I'm just going to paste in the text h6, and then we're just going to have a paragraph with the random text, and then we're going to bring in the button component. Okay, so the button with the prop name and the class names. If you don't want the class names, you can remove them. If you can just leave it empty if you don't want the blob. So when I save, the button is not going to have a blob. When you have that blob, it's gone. When I remove, it comes back on hover. So you can remove that with the class names. It's up to you. So you can also mess around with other values for props. You can make new props. It's up to you. Okay, so now we have the button. So now let's go back to the styling and start doing some styles. Dot latest container, margin top, let's do 1.5 rem, and then we're going to give it a background color, color light, color gray light 2, and then border radius, let's do 7 pixels. Okay, and then we're going to do latest content. So the latest content, we're just going to do display grid, and then we're going to do grid template columns. For the first column, we're going to fill 40%, and then automatic for the remaining grid item. Okay, and then let's do padding. So top and bottom, we're going to do 5 rem, 10 rem left and right. Okay, so and then grid gap, let's do 2 rem to keep it consistent. Okay, and then I'm going to target an image after that. So the image is going to have a width of 100%, the image within the thingy. Border radius, let's do 7 pixels as well. And then object fit, we want the image to stretch, and then we're going to do cover. Okay, now let's save, let's see what we have. So there's the image, it's nicely, rounded. Okay, let's keep going. So latest content, and then we have the text. Okay, so latest text, margin left, we're gonna do 3 rem, h4, padding bottom, let's do 1.5 rem. Okay, what else do we have? We have an h6, padding bottom 1.5 rem, and then the color, we're going to give it a color font variable. Okay, size 1.2 rem. Okay, so that's it for the h6. Now we just need to target the p tag, and then padding bottom 1.5 rem. So now we need to change the color for this button here. We want to make it different, so I'm just going to target the a tag, or you can make a prop for the background color for the button. You can do that with a prop, it's up to you, but I'm just going to do it like this. I'm just going to select the anchor tag, which is the button, within this component. Okay, so I'm going to do background. I want to set that to transparent. I don't want the background anymore. Then I'm going to put a border around the button, 2 pixel border, and then text transform, let's do inherit. Okay, so there it is. Now it looks fine, it looks good, but we need to put the consistent padding around it. So in this case, this area here, we're not using the padding large, the utility class, but for this component we actually need to use the utility class. Let's do class name, it's utility u pad lg 2, padding large 2, I think. Okay, so perfect. So yeah, actually we need to do a few things. We need to do these controls down here. So easy peasy squeezy. So we just need to create a new class, latest controls, control dot control 1. So control 1, 2 and 3. This is 2 and 3. Okay, so now we just need to style the controls. Okay, so I'm going to go here, dot latest controls. I don't know if these are correct spelling, but display flex, want them to be side by side, specify content center, and then margin top 2.5 rem, I believe. You can mess around with the values if you want to. and then I'm going to target each individual control. I'm going to give it a width and height of 1 rem, and border radius 50% to make it rounded. Okay, margin top and bottom 0.2 rem, and then we're going to do cursor to pointer. Okay, so we don't see anything yet because we haven't styled each individual control. So I'm going to select control 1 and give it a background color of color accent. Okay, so control 2 is going to have a color gray 9, control 2 and 3, and then we're just going to change the scale of them. Scale 0.85, 0.6 for this one. So as you can see, this one is bigger, slightly smaller and smaller. Okay, so there, that's the whole thing for this section. I'll see you in the next session where we're going to be working on the latest blog section. This is a bit tedious, but there's so alright, so now let's work on the blog section, this area here. So we need to do the same thing, new component, blogs section to JS. Let's go back to the boilerplate, Control A, blog section, paste it, change the title to blogs section, do the same here, blog section, easy peasy squeezy. Okay, so now let's see, we actually need to copy the title container, copy this, go to the blog section. I'm going to close the latest, I'm going to paste the title. We need to import title from components, actually title, because it's in the same folder, so we don't need to go to components folder, it's fine. So now we actually also need the class name here. We need the upad lg2, the utility class. So the title, this one is going to be different. It's going to be view our blogs, and then we're going to have the blogs container, because we're going to do a grid, 3x3 grid, 3x2 grid. Okay, so blogs container, here we're going to have a blog component, so we actually need to create a component for that. Blog card.js. Okay, so for the blog card, we're going to have some props. We need to paste in the thingy, actually copy this blog card, paste in, do blog card so this is actually going to be a div. Okay, so now we have the blog. We need to do some props. So the props that we're going to do, we're going to have a name, title, excuse me, subtext, image, and then we're going to have a date for the blog. Okay, so we have the image section, .image section, and then we're going to have img, the source is going to be image, and then we have .image content, image content, and then we have .left blog container, and then we have left and right. Okay, so for the left, we're going to have an icon, which is the tag from Font Awesome, and then we're going to do span, and then the name. Okay, and then for the right side, we're going to have another icon. This one is going to be a clock icon, and then the span is going to be a date prop. Okay, that's for the image section. I'm going to collapse the image section. Below that, we're going to have the block text blog text, like so, not bog but block text. Okay, so in there we're going to have h5 title, what else, p tag, and then we're going to do sub text, and then after that we're going to have some icons blog icons. Make sure the spelling is correct. Icons, so these icons right here, these are the blog icons. So just go to font awesome and put those icons in here. Okay, so they're actually inside the p tag, so I'm gonna do p, and then I'm gonna say share, and then I'm gonna share the text, and then after that I'm gonna add the icons. Okay, it's like this, share, and then the icons. So the icons, I'm just gonna paste them. Paste the social icons. There they are. So we have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, GitHub, and YouTube. Okay, so that's basically it for the card content. Now what we need to do is we need to load the cards, because it's going to be a grid. So here we're going to do blog card. There's so many props for that, so let's write the props down. We have title, we have name, and then we have sub text, and then we have date, and then we have image. Okay, so now we just need to fill in the data. So title, I'll copy the title, paste it in, the name, you can put whatever name you want. So for the subtext, I'll just paste in some lorem text, and then the date, you can put any date values you want. I don't want to do this one by one in front of the in the video. So the image is going to be Figma, so you need to import the Figma image from the images folder. So import Figma from excuse me, Figma, like this. I'm going to copy the rest of the images because I don't want to do this on the video one by one. So I'm going to import all these images. So just look at the paths for the import. So now we should have a blog item, because we're not rendering the section. Latest blog section. Now we're rendering the section. If you show, there it is, everything works. So now we just need to style the blog card. Go to the styling and get started. So I'm just going to give it a background of gray light. Okay, and border radius of 7 pixels. Okay, so let's do font size for RAM, and then border 2 pixels solid, gray 9 for the color. Let's do a transition 0.4 seconds, ease in and ease out. Let's do a cursor to pointer. When we hover, what do we want to happen? Well, on hover, I'm going to do a box shadow with the values for the x-axis 10 pixels for the Y, and then a random color which is F8, F9, FA14. Okay, and then I'm going to transform and translate Y minus 5 pixels. Okay, let's save. Okay, when we hover, that's what happens. Looks pretty neat already. So let's do image section, position relative, because we're going to position absolute something. Position relative, img, width 100%, object fit, cover, because we don't want the image to stretch. Okay, so the height, you can mess around with the height. 220 pixels is good for me. Left, let's do 50. No, we don't need to do left. We need to do border top right radius to 7 pixels and border top left radius to 7 pixels as well, like that. Okay, so there's the image, looks pretty neat. Now we need to do the image content. So for the image content, position absolute, and then we're going to do bottom. Let's do minus 13 pixels, and then left, because we're going to center this, 50%, and then width, let's do 85%. Let's see what we have. Now we don't see anything much yet because we haven't done the grid. Okay, so with 85%, and then we need to center this, transform, translate X. Actually, let's do translate. We need to center minus 50%. Okay, and then we're going to give it a background color of the gradient color. Okay, it's actually translate X, not Y. Okay, so there it is, it's nicely centered. Let's keep going. Let's do the flex and justify between content. Justify content, space between. Okay, and then align items to center. Align items to center, and then we're going to give it a padding. It's going to be 0.5 rem, and then we're going to do 1 rem top and left and right. We're also going to do border radius of 30 pixels for the thingy. So as you can see, it's now nicely rounded. Okay, and then let's target the span within the item, and then give it a margin left of 5 pixels. Okay, because I want this to be spaced out nicely. So now as you can see, the icon and the text is now spaced out. Okay, so now we just need to do the block text. Okay, so collapse image content. Let's do dot block text. Block text. Let's do padding left and right. Let's do the padding. Padding left 2 rem, padding right 2 rem, padding top 3 rem, padding bottom 2 rem. You can do that within one line anyway, but it's fine. Okay, so now let's do H5. Font size. Let's do 1.5 rem, and then padding bottom 1.5 rem. Okay, so the color, we need to give it a color font and a cursor pointer, so the props color font, and then on hover we're going to give it a color of accent. Okay, so don't forget to do the transition as well because we're hovering, so we need to do a nice smooth transition. Okay, nice. Okay, so when we have the title, it changes the color accent. Nice. Okay, so after that, after the H5, we're going to target the paragraph with the icons in it. Padding bottom, let's do 1.5 rem, and then let's do font size, let's do 1.2 rem, and then finally we just need to target the blog icons. So we're just going to do display flex, align items to center, padding top 1.5 rem maybe, and then we're just going to give it a border top of 1 pixel solid in color of gray 9. Okay, and then we're going to target the eye, margin 0 top and bottom, and then 0.3 left and right. Let's do 3. You can mess around with the values to get the values you're looking for. Font size 1.2 rem, cursor to pointer. Now let's save. Looks pretty neat, looks good. Okay, so now we just need to display this in a grid. So to do that, we just need to go back to block section dot blocks container, and then in the blocks container it's basically the same thing. Display grid, grid template columns. We're going to repeat autofill. We're going to do the min-max property, min-max. Okay, we've done this before. Min-max 320 pixels for the minimum width, 1 far the size. So we're going to have as many as we can occupying the width, as long as the minimum width is 320 pixels. Okay, so this grid system will be automatically responsive. Okay, grid gap, let's do 2 rem, and then padding top, let's do 3 rem. Okay, so nice. Okay, now we just need to make multiple block cards here. So duplicate this as many times as you can. Okay, and then you can start changing the data for each component to suit your need. So just change around the data. So in this case, I'm not going to do this on camera. I'm just going to paste in some blocks with different data. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. All you need to do is duplicate this block card and change the data around. So I'm just going to paste in 5 more. So as you can see here, I've changed the data around, and then I'm going to save. So now I have different data. Okay, so you can just mess around and change the data around. Okay, yeah, that's it for this section. Next section we're going to be working on the footer, and then that's it for the whole thing. And then after that we'll actually need to do the theme switching, and then yeah, that will be it. I'll see you on the next one. Alright, so now let's work on the footer. Let's go ahead and close these ones, we don't need them. So components, footer, section .js. Go back to the boiler, go to the footer. This won't be a section anymore, to be a footer, and rename this footer okay, footer section. Okay, so let me double check if we're using the same padding. Okay, we're using the same padding, looks like it. So let's do class name upad lg2. Nice. So we're gonna have dot footer copyright, and then we're gonna do p I'm gonna do span marklins universal. Okay, so copyright 22, all rights reserved, like so. Okay, I'm gonna save. Hopefully we should have this footer here after the main, so the footer is not in the main, so make sure you import footer section and then edit after the main. Okay, so now we have footer section. It should be rendering right now. Okay, there is our footer. So let's go back. Let's start. What shall we start with? Copyright. Okay, so dot footer copy right padding top. We're going to do 1 pixel padding top, not 3 rem. Border top. Okay, border top. It's going to be 1 pixel solid, color gray 9. I'm just going to paste it. I don't want to waste your time doing this one by one. And then text align, text line to center, and then we're going to target the span within, which is the marklins universal. The color, I'm going to set that to gray 4, and then cursor to pointer, and then we're going to give it a transition because we're going to do a hover animation. Transition is in and is out, and then we're going to do on hover a hover animation. So we're just going to change the color to the accent color. Okay, now let's save. There it is. So now we have a nice footer. Okay, so we have padding top 3 rem. Nice, but something is missing. This section here, we need to do that section too. Let me inspect here to see why I have so much space at the bottom. Footer, okay, it's because I haven't put the content yet. So now let's put the content here. Okay, so the footer, we haven't actually changed the background color as well. We need to change the background color. Background, I'm actually going to paste it. It's background BG3. Padding top, let's do 6 rem. We need to override the old one. Important. Okay, nice. So now the color, let's do props inline function props dot theme dot color font, like so. Okay, so now we'll change it to the color font variable. Now let's see, everything still looks the same. So now we just need to, style the rest of the stuff. Not to style, but to add rest of the stuff. So in here we need to add a navigation actually. So above the copyright, I'm gonna say dot footer. So it's a footer navigation. It's actually a nav dot bottom navigation. Okay, so we're gonna have a logo as well. The logo container. Okay, so the reason I'm doing a URL, we're going to have multiple stuff in there. we have a logo. Okay, so this UL is going to be the logo side, which is this one here. Okay, so that's the logo side. So we have the logo h1. I can't remember if this is h1 or h2 for the heading. I can't remember. Okay, so and then we're going to paste in a paragraph after the logo, paragraph, and then we're going to have bottom nav icons. Okay, so for the bottom nav icons, I'm just going to paste in those icons we've done before from Font Awesome. Okay, that's that. And then we're going to that's this for the logo container. We're going to have another class name ul dot nav bottom, and then with another class it's going to be dot nav contact. Okay, so this is another section with the contact info. So I'm going to have a h4. It's going to be contact us. Okay, contact us, and then we're going to have a nav item li.nav item. So we're going to duplicate this nav item multiple times. Okay, so inside the nav item we're going to have an icon. We're going to have an envelope. Okay, and then we're going to have the footer text. Okay, after the icon I'm going to say f text. It's a div, so dot text. We have an h6 in here. It's going to say email, and then a paragraph with just an email, my email. If you want to email me or something, just use this email. Okay, I'm gonna save this. So it's this section right here. Now we need to do this section, and then finally this. Okay, so collapse this. We need another ul nav b nav bottom. The other one is going to be, actually we've done this one. Now we need this phone number and location actually. So I'm just going to paste the nav item again. Okay, so we need to duplicate the nav item 2 more times roughly, so we can have the contact and the location. So remove this, go in here, this nav item, duplicate this multiple times, 1, 2 more times, and then change the data around. So in this case we're going to have phone number and then location. Okay, and then change the icon as well to FA map marker, and then this one's going to be a phone icon. Okay, I'm gonna save. So as you can see, we have a phone and location and email like this here. So phone, location, and email. It says phone twice. Email, phone, location. Okay, never mind. What? I think I've copied everything 3 times. There's something repeating. Email, phone. I'm gonna remove phone, location. Let me double check. Email, phone, location. Email, phone, location. Okay, so we don't need this item here. Remove. We don't need this one here, it's duplicating. So we have email, phone, location. Okay, we need three things: email, phone, location, like so. Email, phone, location. That's good. So now we finished this area here. Now let's do this area, which is the company. Okay, so for the company we need to create another UL. So I'm going to collapse this. It's going to be UL dot nav bottom. We're going to reuse the same class, and then another class name let's do company. Okay, like that. So nav bottom h4, let's do company, like that. So in here we're going to have li dot nav item, and then we're going to have an a, and then hash, and then we're going to do contact. I'm sorry about the background noise. I live by the seafront, so there's seagulls everywhere. Okay, so now with the contact, we need to duplicate these nav items multiple times to create the rest. So I'm just going to paste in the rest of the nav items. Okay, I don't want to do this on camera. So we have customer, services, and everything. I'm just going to disable these warnings here. Okay, ESLint disable. Okay, so now we've done the icons. Finally, we need to create another ul dot nav, be nav bottom, and then dot ig. Okay, so social, you can name it social, but I've named it IG. I don't know why. Instagram, social, whatever. I'm gonna say Instagram. It's actually Instagram. Yeah, Instagram. Okay, so we're gonna have dot ig images. So here I'm gonna have 6 images. Okay, I'm just gonna paste in the images, and then I'm gonna paste the imports as well. I don't want to waste your time doing this on the video. I'm going to import the images here. These are the locations for the images from the images folder. Okay, so now we have 6 images. So now it's only a matter of styling like this. So we have first UL, second UL. So this is flex display of these 4 ULs. So let's go down to the styles, and yeah. Okay, so let's do padding bottom 3 rem and override the previous one as well, 3 rem. And now let's target the h6 in font size, and then we have h4. Okay, the color, we're gonna go with gray 4, color gray 4. Let's do this. h4 is outside the h6. Okay, so we're going to target the anchor tag color. I'm going to do props to theme color font, like so. And then we need to do a transition, and then on hover we're going to give it a color accent, the accent color, and then the text decoration wanted to underline on hover. I'm gonna save. So when you hover, it's gonna underline. Okay, and the color is accent. Okay, so after that I'm gonna tag the everything, and then font size I'm gonna set that to 1.3, and then I'm gonna copy the transition. I'm gonna paste it, the transition, and then when we also have the icon, when we also have we're changing the color to the accent as well. Copy the accent color. Okay, let's do the logo. So for the logo, the color, we're setting that to white, and then margin bottom, let's do 1 rem. Okay, looks pretty neat so far. Okay, so now that's it for the whole thing. Now let's target the whole bottom navigation. Bottom navigation. Okay, so let's do display flex. Let's do flex wrap and then wrap. So we want it to, you know, be responsive. And then padding bottom, let's do 3 rem. Okay, so dot well, let's look at okay, h4, that's the nav title. h4, I'm gonna say padding bottom, I'm gonna say 1.5 rem. Okay, dot nav bottom, nav b, I'm gonna give it a margin top and bottom 0, and then 1.5 rem left and right. And then I'm gonna say dot nav item, I'm gonna target the nav item, margin bottom 1 rem item. Okay, looks pretty neat so far. Now we need to target the contact. We should have a contact nav contact. Okay, so nav contact, that's what we want. Okay, nav contact, we're gonna target the nav item. I'm gonna do display grid, and then I'm gonna say grid template columns 30 pixels for the first one, and then auto for the remaining. Okay, save. Let's see where the contact is. There it is. Looks pretty neat. Okay, and then nav contact, I'm gonna target the logo container. The logo, let's do flex 5. I'm gonna give it a lot of space. Okay, and then let's target the nav icons. Bottom nav icons, display flex margin top to rem. Okay, and then we're gonna do FA Facebook. We're targeting the Facebook icon, margin right, let's do 0.3 rem. Okay, and also I'm gonna target the icon, which is not the first child, not first child, first child. Okay, so the icon which is not the first child, I'm gonna give margin top and bottom 0, and then 0.5 rem. Let's save. Let's see what we got. Pretty neat so far. So far so good. I'm gonna do cursor to pointer. Now I'm gonna target the IG class name. Okay, so after this I'm gonna do .ig, if you remember the IG class name, .ig images. I'm gonna start those images. So the images are going to be in a grid, I think 2x2 grid or 3x2 display grid. Template columns, actually we're going to have 3 columns, 3x2, 90 pixels. Okay, and then rows, grid, template rows, let's do repeat. We're going to have 2 and then 90 pixels as well. Okay, looks neat. Okay, so let's do a grid gap. Let's do 0.5 rem. 0.5. I don't know why it's doing this weird stuff. And then let's target the actual image. The width is going to cover the entire grid item. And then object fit cover, I don't want the image to stretch. Okay, and then height, I'm gonna set that to 100% also. And then the cursor, I'm gonna set that to pointer. So that must be it for the footer. Okay, so everything looks neat, pretty neat. Actually, we need to style these icons here. Let me inspect again to see what. So the footer is a little bit responsive because it's a flex. Okay, and the grid items are responsive as well. Okay, when we're doing the media queries, we can, you know, sort of make it more responsive. But let me inspect this. Inspect. Because bnav icons. Bnav icons. Okay, so bnav icons. FA Facebook margin right 0.3 rem. Margin top and bottom. Let's see what I did wrong here. Bnav. Okay. Facebook. Something wrong with the I and not first child. First child, something, I don't know, it doesn't look wrong to me, but I did something wrong somewhere. Facebook, oh, never mind, this is supposed to be outside Facebook. Okay, like this, outside of Facebook, and then you put outside and then it will work. Okay, so now save. There you go. So now it's now spaced out. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this website. Now I'll just make a small video doing the theme switching. So this is very easy to do. I'll see you on that video. Okay, let's quickly work on the theme switching. So this is very easy. So go back to the body here in the app.js. Let's import the themes. Actually, we need to import the themes. Import themes. Okay, like that, because we need to map every theme that we have. Let's say if we have 10 themes. In this case we have 2, but if we have more, you know, we need to map each individual theme, so we can, you know, switch between. You can have like switching for the buttons. And then I'm gonna have a theme and then the index of each theme. I is the index. Okay, so what we're going to return, a button. Let's return a button. Actually, we can actually return the button that we created, the component. The key is going to be the index. Okay, and then style for this one, we're going to do background. We want to style this from theme. So the background of this button is going to come from theme dot color bg. Okay, so now we have access to all of the variables, okay, coming from the theme. For we're mapping through the theme, so each theme, whatever theme we have selected with this index, we're going to select that background color to set that background color to this one, theme.color bg. So this theme here. So don't get mistaken with this theme here. It's like this coming from this one here while mapping through the themes. Okay. After that, we're going to have an on click. So what do we do on click? Well, we're going to do a function. On click, we're going to run a callback function. This callback function, we're just going to call set theme. I'm pretty sure we've import a set theme somewhere. Set theme, and then we're going to set the theme to the index, whatever index of the button we click on. Okay. Okay, so that's like this, and then oops, like this, and then we close the button. You can give it a name here, but we need to import the set theme function, you know. So const, actually we need to say, yeah, set, let's do update, use update theme. Okay, so const, we need to use the set theme is equals to use update context. Okay, so if you remember our context, we have the update function, this one, the use update theme, this context here. So now we are setting the state to the value of the index of the, we are mapping through the themes, right? So the index of whatever theme we click on, the index of that, we're just setting that to the state. Okay, we're changing the state to the, we're setting that using the update theme function. Okay, so that's what's going on here. We're using the set theme, the update function, and then we're setting the index of that to the state. Okay, whatever index we click on, we're just, you know, setting that index to that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna save. We should have some buttons, but we don't see them. They're there, but the thing is, the button have no name. If you want to put a name, you can do like this. You can do theme dot name, and then it will have the name of the theme, whatever theme we are using. It should be there somewhere. There it is. So we have light and default. So as you can see, the buttons work, but now we just need to style these buttons. But I don't want a name for these buttons. I'm going to remove the name. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the class name. Where's the thingy? This should be in a container. Let's do theme switcher. That's the container. I'm gonna paste it like this. So now it's going to be in its container. So now it's only a matter of styling this theme switcher. Go down here. Let's style this. Position fixed. Let's do right. I want it to be at the right side, 10 pixels, and then top 50%. I want to align this on the y-axis. Transform, translate y, minus 50%. I want it to be centered, and then display flex, because we are going to have two buttons in there. Flex direction, we're going to set that to column, and then I'm going to target the button. The button is going to have width and height of 40 pixels. Okay, 40 pixels, and then a border radius of 10 pixels or 7 pixels if you want to. Not 10%, or you can do 7 pixels. Okay, I'm going to do 10%, and then I'm going to do outline. I'm going to set that to none. So we're going to have no outline, and then I'm going to give it a border. Okay, so the border, and then finally let's do last child, the last button. Last child, I'm gonna do margin top. Let's give it 10 pixels. Alright, so now that's the buttons. We can switch between the themes. You can make more themes if you want to. So now we have two themes. Let's say I'll go back to the themes. Let's say I'll go to the themes. Where is the theme? Themes. Okay, here into the theme, right? Put a comma and duplicate this to make a new theme. So now I have a new theme. So this is, let's say, test, and then I can say maybe color BG. I can say maybe slate blue, just to test. You know, it's for testing purposes. Okay, so now you can see we have another one. okay, with a slate blue background. So you can have as many. They're gonna keep, you know, adding many themes, as many as you want. You can add as many as you want. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the themes. Okay, you can add as many themes as you want. Okay, so that's it for the video. If you have any more questions, you can ask me either from the comment description, or you can send me an email, and then yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Okay, so I forgot something. I forgot to add a custom scroll bar. Let's do that real quick. Let's go to the global style, and then that's where we're going to be adding our custom scroll bar. So it's going to be nice and easy. So after the body, let's do body, and then we're going to do WebKit scroll bar. So let's give it a width of 7 pixels. So it's going to have like a smaller width. Okay, so 7 pixels for the width, and then duplicate. This one is going to be the scroll bar track. Let's do background color, or background. Let's do hash 10 10 10. That's for the track. Now let's do the thumb. Okay, so for the thumb, we're going to do a gradient. I'm just going to paste in the values. Okay, so we've 171 degrees. So these are the values. You can write this one by one if you want to, or you can use different colors. It's up to you entirely. So this is the scroll bar. So now we also need to give it maybe a border radius, I think. Okay, so instead of this is a border radius, let's do 10 pixels. Okay, so let me duplicate this, and then on hover, thumb, on hover, I'm going to change the rotation of the gradient. Okay, so on hover, change the rotation of the gradient. Okay, looks good. Let me check the original, the background. For the track, we need to, okay, let's do the track. Okay, hash 10 10 10, scroll bar track, thumb and thumb hover. What's going on in the background for the track? Let's try red. Okay, I don't know why the color that I've put here is not working. Let's try hash cc 33. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so now yeah, that's it for the scroll bar. This video has been longer than it shouldn't be. It wasn't supposed to be this long. Okay, yeah, that's it for the video.